It seems like very few people is watching the live right now, so I'll wait for 5 minutes more. After 5 minutes, I will start the class. Morning class, let's get started. So let's recap on what we have learned last week. Last week, we have talked about the fundamental in C++ programming and why we picked C++ for competitive programming. So usually for competitive programmer, they pick C++ because it's a performance language and it's popular among competitive programmers. Also, C++ is being used in a lot of real-life application, like your Chrome browser, the core of your Chrome browser, or your game engine, or blockchain. Many of these things are built in C++ because of its performance nature. So that is a good thing about C++ and why we are learning it. And other than that, we talk about how to actually write a simple, most basic C++ program that prints out hello world. So as we have demonstrated here in the coding bar playground. So first, you define something, you import a library called IOStream. How to import a library? You type in hashtag include and then your library name. This is how you import a library. So this library got a lot of useful function that help us in input or output. So for example, they have an output function that can be used by us and can print out something. Okay, as you can see, hello is being printed out. So this C output is a function from the standard package. It's from a standard library, which is written by someone else. Okay. And after we print out the hello world, we can append something called end line. This one is to append a next line. So if we type something here, this 1, 2, 3 will be appended on next line. If there is no end line over here, this 1, 2, 3 will be appended right after hello world. It's not on the next line. So that's why we have the end line function. So this end line function actually is also from the standard library. Also, it's being provided from a standard library. Okay. And this is what I have talked about just now, the hello world function. And then this is the output, which is a very important part. And we have talked about it last week. Also, if you remember from last week lecture, actually NL can be replaced with \n. \n and NLs have the same behavior, so they print the next line on the screen. Other than \n, there's a lot of other characters, special characters also, which you can refer to this picture. And also we talked about namespace last week. Namespace is a visibility scope. It's something like the top level name for your package. The main usage for it is to avoid naming conflicts. So, but you seldom need to define your own namespace. Most of the time, you just use the standard namespace from the imported library. For this course, for this entire course, you never need to define your own namespace. So always, when you refer to a standard package, when you refer to the standard package namespace, we type using namespace. Right after that, we type the namespace name, which is std. And we talked about variable last time. A variable is something that holds data. So what is data? Data is something, it's an information that the computer can move or process or store. So this is the core of programming. Data is a core of programming. You must have data so you can process it, right? And we store data in variable. And how do we define a variable? This is an example of how we define a variable. For example, in this screen, integer a equal 3. So we are assigning 3, which is a data or an information, into variable a, which is a memory location in your computer. And we explicitly tell the compiler that this a is of integer type. So this a is an integer. And we talk a little bit about variable type. There are a lot of variable types like integer, double, or string. I believe you have used a few of them like integer and string, but we are going to talk about more about them today. And also last week we talked about the assignment of variable. In C++, we assign a variable by using the symbol equal. So take note that this equal doesn't it's not equivalent to the equal in math expression. In mathematical expression, equal means we are comparing, and we are stating that the number on the left and the number on the right is the same. But in C++, equal means assigning. We are assigning the number on the right to the number on the left. And what if you want the equal sign in maths? You want to move it into a programming language. So in C++, to compare that two number is the same, we use double equal. So let me demonstrate it a bit. A equal 1, integer b equal 1. So I define two variables. To check whether they are the same, and integer c equal 2. We use double equal to check whether the number on the right and the number on the left are the same. So it throws an error. So let's do this. So A equal B is true. 1 means true in Boolean. And A equals C is false, and 0 means false. So we'll talk more about this later, why 1 means true and 0 means false. So, but you have the idea, equal is the same as equal in math expression, while equal means assignment in C++. It's a bit different. So you might get confused in the beginning, but you'll get used to it later, very soon. And we talked a little bit about variable naming rules. Most of the time, you don't have to worry about that as long as your variable is named like in a normal way, you won't have any problem. So yeah. So let's start on today's class. Today we are going to talk about data type. So last week we talked something about integer, double, and string, right? But today we are going to talk more about that. Let's look at this screen. Look at this program. So in this program, there's an include, wait. So there's an include IOStream. This means we are importing the IOStream library and we are using its namespace std. And then we define a variable a. A is an integer. And we assign 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to A. So A is an integer type. And later we define another variable B. So B is a double. What's a double? It says 浮点数 over here. What is 浮点数? It doesn't make sense, right? But actually it's decimal numbers. It's 有小数的 number. So this double is actually decimal numbers. A float also is decimal numbers. So what are the difference between them? Double can store longer number, but float can store less precise. Float can store lesser number. That is the idea. So float cannot store the decimal number as precise as double. So most of the time you can just use double. Okay, it will be safe. And how about character? Character is something like English character. It doesn't support Chinese character, Korean character, Japanese character. No, it just supports English character. So actually, if you want to know more about this character is coming from the ASCII character. You can try to search online. Okay. These are the ASCII codes. So these are all the characters that character type support. I mean, these are all the characters that CHAR type support. This CHAR type only support these characters. They are called ASCII codes. For example, if you want to type and it supports A to Z and small letter A to Z, and also some special character and 0 to 9. And also, as you can see, there is no Chinese character on these codes. So if you wish to type or store a Chinese character, we have to do some hack for it. So, but we are not going to talk about it on this class. And there is also a string type. This string type can hold any kind of characters, including Chinese characters. You can try it out. So let's say go to a playground. I'm going to define a string as equal hello world and 你好. And we are going to print out this as. So this is being printed out. And you can try to print out a character also. Let's define a character as A. I'm going to print out A as well. So what's it's not declared, oh sorry. My variable is called ch. So when you print the variable out, you have to refer by its name. So its name is ch. And what's the main difference between between character and string? One of the main difference is that character only supports one character, but string can be a sequence of characters, can be a lot of characters. That is one of their main difference. What if you try to include a few character inside character type? I think it shouldn't work, it doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work. How about if you try to include a Chinese character here? Would it work? Let's try it. It doesn't work. So there's some overflow issue. That means, so the reason behind this is because this character can store lesser bytes or can store lesser information than this string type. So this Chinese character is quite long in their representation, in their physical representation on the memory. So they just cannot interpret and store it. They can only store, this character can only store ASCII code, like A. Okay. I think we'll cover more about the storage length, the memory length on later classes. And also there is a Boolean type. This Boolean type has only two types. Either it is true or it is false. This has something to do with what? To my demonstration just now. In my demonstration, just now there is a 1 and 0, right? Okay. So as you can see, here when I ask about whether A equal to B, they say it's 1. And I ask about whether A equal to C, and then they are telling that it's 0. So what does this 1 and 0 means? They are actually a Boolean number. So A equal B return true. True, when we are going to print it out, is being converted into an integer. So this integer true is converted into integer 1. Or false, this one is false. False, Boolean false is converted into integer 0. That's why we are printing out 1 and 0 in the screen. And after we have defined and assigned our variables here, we can print it out as usual. It's just the usual way. Just see out and your variable name, regardless of its type. Okay. And also there's one thing in you have to take note. You see this Boolean f equal true, and we are going to print out f. And what is being printed out? It's 1. Because Boolean is being converted into an integer before it's being printed out. So it's being converted into 1, integer 1. We talk a lot about this one, integer type. So integer a equal 1. That means we are assigning 1 to variable a, which is an integer. Also, there's a float type. Float can store a decimal point number, for example, 1.2. And also there's a data type called double. Double also can store decimal point numbers, but double is more precise than float. It can store it can store something with more decimal number, more decimal point, and store some value which is larger. So you can always go with double. It will be a safe choice instead of float. So because double takes much more space, right? And that is one of the downside of double. And it costs longer execution time also. And there is character. So we talk a lot about character just now, character type only accept ASCII codes. So if you are interested about ASCII codes, you can search online as what I have do just now. Search for ASCII characters or ASCII code or ASCII table. This is what you can search for, and you can see that all the allowed character or number in these ASCII codes. And obviously, Chinese character is not inside. So for character type, can including some common alphabets, numbers, and symbols, and it can only store a single character, as we have demonstrated just now. And it should always be surrounded by single quote symbols. What if you try to surround it by double quote symbol? Let us try. So let's define a character type for CH equal 8 and try to print this out. This shouldn't have any problem. This works, okay? And now we try to make it to a double quote. What will happen? So it throws error. It's saying the invalid conversion from constant character pointer to character. So can change this to a single quote and it should work. Yeah. So double quote is for string. It's for string data type, or single quote is for character data type. And next we have string. String is very convenient to use compared to character. So you define a double quote around your string, and now you can use it and print it out, process it. So string is a collection of alphabets, and actually include most of the characters like Chinese, English, Tamil, Hindu character, everything. And you have to wrap your string in between two double quotes. Okay. And we have Boolean data type. So for Boolean data type, there are only two types, which is true and false. It is usually used to indicate whether our expression is correct or wrong. For example, when you assign something as true, that means your expression is true. If you assign something as false, that means your expression is false. For example, 1 equal 3, 1 equal 2. This will be false, right? That means you're assigning false to 8. Okay. And this will be further explained in the next chapter. So there's a small recap of all of this data type we have talked about just now. There's integer type, which is 整数, and it's integer in English. So they can store positive number or negative number or also 0, but not decimal number. You can store decimal number in integer type. So bear in mind. How about float? For float or double, they can store decimal number, but also to be precise, they can also store integer number. You can store integer number in float and double as well, including 0 or negative number. So this is about float and double. Also, so you might ask, if double can store integer as well, so why don't we always just use double, since double supports both integer and decimal number? So the reason we don't always use double unless it's necessary, is because double data type takes up more space, more memory space. So it makes our program more heavy and it's not as performant. So that's why if we are going to store integer only, we use integer data type. Unless you really need to store decimal points number, then we use either float or double. That's the idea behind this. And also we have character type. For character type, they are defined by ASCII codes. So we can check the ASCII codes online. They only support some basic characters, alphabets, and numbers. And also we have string type. So this string type is very powerful, very convenient. You just wrap your string around two double quotes and you can basically write anything in between. So it's a blessing for us, this string type. And also there's a Boolean type. Boolean type is very, very useful. Also, it's very common. Oh, it's being used very often, Boolean type. So they have two types, either true or false. And next, let's talk about input. We have talked about output for last lecture, but this lecture have to try to get some information from the outside world. So we can insert the information from outside world, from reality into a computer. And how can we achieve this? We can use the C input functionality, which is provided from a standard library. For example, we refer to this C input function from our standard library, and then you type two greater symbol, and then your variable name. So let's try it. First, we have to define a variable. For example, let's say it's number. And then we are going to read this number. And we are going to print it out. I'm going to type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is being printed out. So that means your input, our input, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is being stored into this number variable. And later we can process this variable, can do whatever we want to it, and then we can print it out. So the thing at the right side will be the variable name, as I have demonstrated here. The thing we are reading into should be a variable name, because we are holding this data, we are storing this data in a variable. Remember, variable is something that hold data, it's something that hold information. So we have to have a space to hold the information. So when we input something from our keyboard or from any external device, we input something, this information or this data have to be held or have to be stored inside a memory location. So we have to define a variable, which is memory location, and we store it inside this variable. This is what this C input is doing. This C input function is writing the input into a memory location, which in this case, this memory location have a name of number and its type is integer. And make sure that you have a semicolon at the end of the line. And there's a small note here. So Cin is for input, and while you are writing Cin, the two character right after sin should be two greater, the greater symbol. And for C out, the character right after C out function should be the lesser than symbol. Okay, let's look at this example. What is wrong? They have include I or shim. So this is correct. And then there is no use namespace std, but it is still fine because here they have defined their function right after std. So they are referring to the std package manually. So this is correct also. And but it's wrong. Why is wrong? How? We can actually try this in our playground and try to capture what is wrong in this program. So let's play it. And it's saying that CL is not a member of STD. Well, sometimes this error information can be confusing. Yeah, it's a bit confusing this time for it. So it doesn't tell you a simple answer on what's wrong. So okay, here it says error X was not declared in this scope. That means we haven't defined our variable yet. So we have to define our variable. Then what is wrong now? There's a space over here. There shouldn't be any space over here. And oh, okay. It seems like when I copy paste, there is some invalid character. So probably there is some invalid character because I copied this straight away from PDF. So there's some encoding issue. It's okay, but you'll get the idea. Just now we didn't define this variable name X. So before you use this variable, always remember you have to define it first. Yeah. So it's saying this. In C++, you must declare a variable first before you can use it. This will tell C++ that this is a variable which is used to store data. So you can try this out in our in the playground or in our homework session. So he's trying to read an X and Y from the outside world, maybe from his keyboard. And then after this being read, he's going to print this out. So you can try it in the homework session. And also he's trying to read an integer and to print out the integer. We have demonstrated this just now. It's very simple. You can try it out in the homework session as well. Next, we are going to talk about debugging the program. So debugging is something I'm doing just now. Just now I'm looking at this, right? These are those error information. And when our program has error, we can look at this error information to debug. What does debug means? Debug means removing a bug. What does bug means then? Bug means an error in our program, an unexpected error in our program. So debug means we are trying to remove this error. And how are we going to remove this error? We can try a lot of measures, but one of these measures is to look at this error information. And other than that, you can try to print out something in your program for debugging purpose as well. We will talk more about this in later class if we are going into if structure or while control structure, for control structure. So in programming, if the computer cannot understand your code, the computer will throw you an error and stop the execution. And now we have to make the correction according to the hints provided by the computer. And this process is known as debugging. Okay, we can test it by ourselves. Let's write this code. Integer main and then cout 1, 2, 3 return 0. And play and run. It's saying that cout was not declared in this scope. That means they cannot find a function called cout. Why is that so? Because cout is being defined from this library and we haven't referred to this library yet. We can either refer to it by its namespace std, or we can just explicitly telling that we are going to use the namespace. And it works now. So it's very important to always look at the error info when your program throws an error. So without the standard library declaration or the namespace, C++ cannot recognize what is cout. So one of the solution is to write using namespace std. Another solution is to declare the namespace. And there's another code for us to debug. Let's try this. Integer a equal 3 and cout b. So it's very straightforward. It's telling that b was not declared in this scope. That means we didn't declare a number called b, but we are printing out this b variable. So we have to define it first. Let's say b equal 4. Okay, how about we try it? We try to make it double. It works as well. And there's another sample. A equal 3, and then we output b, and then b equal 4, and then return 0. And what could possibly goes wrong with this code? Let's try it. A equal 3, and we're going to print out b, and then b equal 4. Let's run this program. It's telling that b was not declared in this scope. Why is that so? Because when we are printing out b is not being executed yet. It's not being declared yet. So the sequence make a difference. In C++, we execute our program from top to down. So this b, we have to declare it above before we use it. We have to declare it before we use it. Okay. So it works now. The sequence do matter, the position do matters. And there is another one. So string s equal 1, 2, 3. So it's telling that conversion from integer to non-scalar type string. So that means we are trying to assign an integer to string, which is not allowed. So let's wrap our integer in between of double quotes to make it a string. Now it is a string and we can print it out. So now it's a string 1, 2, 3. That's all about data type. Let's talk about comments. What is comment? Comment is so for comments, we can write either double slash or slash star and star slash. You can look at the example, this sample. So for slash star and star slash, you can comment something in multiple lines. But for double slash, you can only comment out your text in a single line. It doesn't work for a double line. Okay, what is the usage for this? From its naming, we know that our first usage for it is for it to act as comment. So if this is an comment, it won't be executed by the compiler. It won't be executed in the program. It's just a comment for the programmer. Okay, this is the usage of comments. And let's try it by ourselves. What happens if we commented out this? How to comment it out? There is a shortcut, type command and slash. It'll be commented out immediately. Or alternatively, you can type by yourself also, double slash. But command slash is the faster way. And let's run this. And as you can see, S is not being printed out anymore. You see the color is different also. This means this is not being tracked by the program. This is not being tracked by the compiler. It's not being executed at all. So how about if we try this? Slash star to star slash. Slash star and star slash works for multiple lines. So they can comment out multiple lines at once. That's about comments. Next, let's talk about keywords. What is keyword? Keyword are some predefined words that has a specific meaning, have their specific purpose in this program. You can identify these keywords easily since the words with special color normally is a keyword. For example, let's look at our screen. You see include is a special keyword. It's being highlighted in blue color. Using also is a special keyword. Namespace is a keyword also. Integer, return are all keywords. So if these are keywords, you cannot use it as a variable name. Let's recap as I've talked about last week. You are not allowed to use keywords as variable name because this will make the keywords to lose its original function. So remember that you are not allowed to do something like this. Integer float equal to. So it's throwing error. It's not working as expected, right? Because float is a special keyword. You should change it to some other words that are not special keywords. So these are lists of the special keywords, and remember not to use them. Even if you use them, it's easy to spot. If it is being highlighted, then that means it's a special keyword, and don't use it as a variable name. And next, we are going to talk about some styling thing, your basic format and white space. So a C++ program is being executed from top to bottom and from left to right. So the top to bottom thing is the reason why just now this program is not working, right? Because we're defining B underneath of this cout B. So cout B will be executed first before the B is being declared. This is because the C++ program is being executed top down, and cout is being executed first. This is one of the properties of C++ programming. So it's executed from top down and left to right. And C++ will not read the white space unless it is in a string. That means doesn't matter how many white space is here. How many white space is here doesn't matter, or tab, space, enter doesn't matter. It just works, okay? For example, how about we put a lot of tab space here. It just works. So the space doesn't matter in C++. Compiler is smarter than that. They will just ignore the white space. But a space in string do matter. Let's try. Let's try to cout hello world. So as you can see, there's one space in between hello and world. What if we put a tab and a space? So there are some more spaces in between hello and world. So in string, space do matter. And new lengths do not affect the operation. As we can see just now I put a lot of next line, right? New line by typing enter on your keyboard. So still your program is working, it doesn't matter. And you can write your program like this, or like this, or like this, all works. So either you can put this parenthesis right after your closing braces, your right braces, or you can put your parenthesis next line after you close your braces. So these are two common practice. You can do whichever way you like, either this type or this type. But usually I do it in this type. And it both works. Even if you type like this, it works. Okay, it works. Even if you make everything in one line, still it works. But this is considered bad practice because it's less readable now. Our code is less readable now, and it's harder to understand and harder to maintain, and it's more prone to error. That's why it's recommended to write your statements in multiple lines, to spread across multiple lines. Well, whether you like this parenthesis to be on top or on the next line, it's up to you, totally up to you. Doesn't matter. As a recap, we have talked about variable, we have talked about uh data type. So a variable have a few data types like integer, float, double, boolean, string. So they serve different function. They have different space. Their memory space is different. Some are larger, some are smaller. Some can store Chinese character, some cannot. Okay. Some can store decimal points, some can only store integer. So there are a lot of data type and you have to pick one based on the requirements. And also there's an equal sign in C++. This equal sign means assignment. While also there's double equal sign. Double equal means equivalent, which is the equal in maths. And we have talked about how to input and output. Input means we read something from the outside world. We read something from the keyboard. So that's input. Also output. Output means we print something to the outside world. Like we print something onto the screen to display to you. So now we have a very basic understanding of C++ and we are able to interact with our C++ programming. That's what we have achieved in this chapter 1. In next chapter, next week, we'll start chapter 2, which we'll talk, I think we'll talk more about like mathematical operation or some Boolean logic thing, and maybe if control structure. So these are what we will be covering in next week course. And that's all for today's lecture. In the next hour, we'll start looking into homework and we'll start looking into exercises. So let's have a break of 5 minutes and we'll start again at 10:05. Thank you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to post it in the chat room or in WhatsApp group, or probably in chat room. And you can ask your question in English or Chinese or Malay. So let's start on the second session. The second session is we will be talking about some exercises and homeworks. Let's look at the exercises from the first chapter. Since we have just finished the first chapter, right? So let's look at the exercises. For example, trial class. Okay. Use the standard cout function, change the underscore part of the text to a hello world. We have talked about this last week, so it's fairly simple. Just print out your string hello world. How about the second question? The second question is to print out the characters. This is fairly simple, so let's look. Oh, it's just to write fill in standard cout. How about question 3? For question 3, it's saying that please use text output function to share your wishes with everyone. So you can type in anything and you will pass. The question 4 is for declaring an integer variable. And which of the following is the correct way? Let me check. It's asking that which one is correct. So already we go through this one actually last time. So the third one is correct. How about the fifth question? We want to declare a number named A with the value stored as 5. Which of the following is the correct way? We have go through this also last week. So the fifth one is the correct way. We define a data type first with integer, and then the variable name, which is A. And then we assign a number to it. So integer A equal 5. So this is the correct one. All of the others are incorrect. How about question 6? Regarding integer A equal 10, which statement is incorrect? This one is more interesting. Let's look at it again. Integer A equal 10, which statement is incorrect? Data type is integer. Is this correct? Yes, this is correct. Data type is int, which stands for integer. And A is a memory space. How about this? This is also correct. So A is a variable which refers to a memory space. So we can consider A as a memory space. And third one is claiming that this is same as 10 equal integer A. It is super wrong. This syntax doesn't work. It will throw errors. So third one is incorrect. How about the fourth one? The contents of A can be changed. This is also true. We can try it out actually. So say integer answer equal 42. Cout answer. And then you can modify the data of answer. You can make it like 100 or 100 and print it out again. Oh, this is a C++ program. So yeah, So as you can see, we can modify the data which is stored inside the answer. So the contents of A can be changed. This is correct. The fourth one is correct. About seventh. Cyclops designed a function to calculate the sum from 1 to 14. Help him complete the program to output the correct content. So this is a fill in the blank question. So A is 1 plus something until 14. And you just have to fill in this 105. And yep, it will be printed. This 105 will be printed out and you will pass this test case. And how about question 8? So Cyclops wanted to read value of X and Y. And they're asking you to help him complete the program so it can produce a correct output. So X equal 2 and Y equal 4. Wait, that's not correct. So we should read in an integer X, and then we read another integer Y, and then we print out X and Y. That is this is the answer. So how about if we look at this from Chaojixin, so X and Y is not being read. We have to use the cin function to read X and Y from the outside world, from the input. And yeah, and so this is not started yet. This is not started yet. So this is a fill in the blank question. You just have to copy this and paste it here, and then replace the X with and Y so that you can read in X and Y. About question 9. The user first enter an arbitrary integer, then the system prints that number. We just demonstrated this actually. So we can write like this. We read in a number called A, and then we print out the number, and that's all. How about this? Also, we have a few homework questions. I think this homework question is not open yet last week, so no one have did it yet. Let's try it. I tried it in my own account. Homework. Oh, these homework are not being released. Okay. Let's. So let's try this question. Cyclops has a bad memory, often forgetting his friend's birthday. Therefore, he wants to create a program. Initially, the user inputs a string name and an integer number. Then the system prints XXS birthday is something. Oh, okay. So this question is asking us to read in two inputs. One is a string, another one is integer. And then we output it in this format. Let's try it in the playground. So we define a string first, right? Before we read in something, we have to define it first. And okay, let's say this string is a name. And this integer is birth date. And we can read in this name and then read in the birth date. After that, let's print this out. Name, and then S, apostrophe S, and then birthday is and let's try this. Does it work? Using namespace std invalid syntax. Or because it's have to change this into C++ and run it. So like for example, say new is 2020. So Sammy's birthday is 2020. So our program works correctly. How about we try their input? Wang Xiaoming and this 198. Wang. Oh, okay. So I think what happened here is because there is a space over there and it's being interpreted as toString, so it doesn't work. We can try get line name. And it doesn't work. Let's check how can we read a line. So we can type cin.getLine and then our variable name. And then we will be able to read the line, a line. So cin.getLine and then our variable name. And then don't forget a semicolon. Still, it doesn't work. No matching function. Maybe let's check. Or we should check the standard one, the standard. So this is a standard reference. Okay, we can use it like this. And our name. Okay. And let's copy this. And then this. And it works. Wang Xiaoming's birthday is 1999 0101. So as you can see, the most important lesson in programming is it's always to search online. If there's the library you work with, you are not familiar with it. So for example, you don't know how to read in a line of input. You should check online and read their reference. For example, for C++ reference, one of the good one is c++.com. So you can read the reference over here and they have some examples which you can refer to. And let's move on to another question. How about this question? So this question is not being released yet. I can see it. What is question? Can I find? So this is also not released yet. Can I release exercise? Release this. Release this and release this and release this. And then I'm going to log into my student account and solve it with you guys. Okay. Cyclops can never find the right size for her clothes. Please help him modify the program to find the right size for a t-shirt. So we define a namespace called t-shirt. Oh, this is quite advanced. Actually, we don't actually have to work with namespace in this course. But to find the right size of a t-shirt, size equal 1, C out size. Actually, this question, this question is not that clear. Maybe that means we have to read it from the namespace t-shirt. So let's read it from namespace t-shirt and it works. Okay. Let's try the next question. Please match the following statement with their corresponding functions. Display text function. How to display a text? Is this one right? Okay. Very good. This C output is printing the string onto the screen. How about import module? Introducing output and input functions is the second one. Include IO stream. How about return integer 0 program ends? Is return 0. Main function is our main function. Let's submit it. Next exercise. I did this already just now, so I'm not going to do it again. Let's skip this. How about this one? Which of the following statements about variable is correct? Once a variable is initialized, it cannot be changed. This is incorrect. A variable can be changed even after it's initialized. The same variable can store different types of values. Different types of values, not really. For example, an integer variable cannot store a decimal point value. So most probably this is not correct. Variable declaration is requesting memory allocation space. This is correct. So a variable is basically referring to a memory space in the storage in our computer. So when we declare a variable, it is actually requesting for memory allocation for a new space for it. The variable you want to store can be assigned a value using why this one is not fully translated. This wait, this question got problem. It's okay, we will be submitted this. So it's correct. And that is all about chapter 1. We have covered all the lectures, all the exercises, and homework. And if you have more questions, please reach out to us. And starting from next week, we'll talk more about mathematical operation. We'll talk more about Boolean comparison, or maybe we'll start talking about if-else control structure. That's all for today, and thank you for listening.